Of daily number 442, where we learn to be a better gamer. Ha! We are currently looking at the idea of trying to simplify this idea of Zerg build orders, and it's really not all that different from trying to create any other sort of build order or to understand any other sort of build order for the other races, but we have this idea of phases of droning, but they're still just tied to the building groups we looked at before. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise where we're going to look at this game between Empire Violet and SKMC, and we are going to try to extract this whole building groups thing out of Empire Violet, fill it in with some of the units that he ends up making, and then try to maybe do some of the advanced ordering at the very end. Let's go ahead and hop into this. Nice. It looks like we are going to just do some of the simple stuff first. And Zerg, I generally do a few more building groups. I will do like 5, maybe 6, but I'd never really more than that. I never, ever, 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 ever really want to do more than that. So, here we go. I do want to note one thing. A lot of people say that Zerg play is reactive. Kind of. That's actually a little bit of a misnomer. There's a lot of flexibility that you need in terms of when you drone, and that ends up being the biggest part of your build. But Zergs should always have something that they're going for. There are some situations where you will end up doing like a branch, where it's literally this whole thing and that whole thing. For instance, if he goes bio, I go Ling Mutabane Ling, and then here's the whole build plan for that. If he goes mech, I'm going to go Roach Infester Ling, and here's this whole train for that. That's fine to kind of have like a point where you're like, actually, I would just say it'll look like this, where you'd go Hatch, Gas, Pool, and then you'd go third plus Roach, Warren, plus Roach Warren, plus another Gas. And then if he's going mech, then you end up getting another hatch. Hatch plus gas plus evo. If he's going bio, then you do something like layer plus 2 evo plus gas. And then you end up having these sort of splitting paths like this, but you're still kind of doing these basic things. Evo plus layer plus gas. Here you might go Baneling plus 2 gas. Alright, cool. And then you might go another hatch. I'm building a lot of hatches in this build. Nice. And in this one you might be going for an infestation pit. Yeah, cool. You just end up with a branch like this. However, it is very dangerous to think of Zerg as this race where I can't go into the game with a plan. I'm a reactive race. Watch 100 games of any top Zerg, you're doing the same shit a lot of times in a row. A hell of a lot of times. The big part of flexibility is when the drones are getting built in this whole mess. So, let's hop into this. We are now going to do Violet versus MC. Cool. We don't watch games too slowly, even though I did have that awesome Blue Sky Black Death song stuck in my head. Yeah. He did an extractor trick. Do we care much? Nope, not really. Alright, it looks like the basic part of his build is going to be pool, hatch, I would imagine. Pool, hatch. Pool, hatch. Is he really delaying his hatch that much? Pool, hatch. Is he going to be building a second expand, or is he going to be going for his... There it is, going down. Oh, thank me goodness. I'm kind of weird in that if someone's early expanding, like this, I pretty much just consider this to be the same basic thing. Pool, 2 queens, 2 hatches. I actually do something like this. I mean, some people, I'll be honest, some people go pool, hatch, queen, third hatch. Some people go 2 lings, or excuse me, 4 lings, and a queen, and then a hatch, and then a hatch. Some people go pool, hatch, queen, queen, hatch, right? They like do this, but you know what? They're basically gonna end up with 3 bases. They're gonna end up with 2 queens, and they're gonna have a spawning pool. Nice. Oops, I put queens in there. I'll put those down there. Nice. Oh, look, a third queen. Nice. And again, some people build one queen, and then they build their third, and then they build another, and then they build another. Some people build two queens before they build their third. Some people build their first queen before they start their second hatch. Make it simple. Make it simple. Simple. And you're saying about all the complexity. You know when complexity comes in? Down here. Down here the complexity comes in. That's where that complexity comes in. Let's go ahead and keep trying to get some building groups. Alright, the next phase I can foresee is 2 gas geysers being thrown down. 2 gas geysers, and then Roach Evo. 2 gas, Roach Evo. Nice! Going pretty good so far. Alright, cool. Now look at this. Spore crawler. Layer. I don't see any reason not to put those things together. Spore, spine, layer. Amazingly, I didn't pause the game. Okay, cool. Now here's a little word of advice that I would throw to my dear Zerg buddies. You know those periods where all of a sudden 3 void rays show up here and you're not ready for it? And you build like 10 spores? I don't expect you to do something like don't do this. Don't worry about this. If a spore and a spine looks like it will always be built in 100% of games no matter what, write it down. Otherwise, just leave it kind of simple. If you see someone building 10 emergency spine crawlers, leave it out. Just don't even include it. Keep it simple. Simple, 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 simple. So we're back at spore, spine, layer. It also looks like a third gas got thrown down approximately at that point in time. Approximately. We're doing groups of buildings. We're not worrying about too much else. For instance, this spore crawler got thrown down. I'm not going to worry too terribly much about the timing of this sort of thing. Okay, alright. Second Evo and another gas. As I continue to look around. And then we have Spire gas. Cool. I'm actually going to just group these together. 2 gas plus Evo plus Spire. You can do this. You can do this. I prefer to have them a little more packed. I prefer to have them a little more packed. Do you want them spread out or do you want them packed, chat? I leave it to you. However you want to notate these. Again, these are your notes to help you, but I just strongly recommend against getting to like 7, 8, 9, these sorts of things. These are really, really, really dangerous. People want them packed together. Great. Great. Packed it together. Alright, just to show this one group happening, as Day 9 himself watches at warp speed, we see about at the same time an Evo chamber, a Spire. Yeah, you know what, actually, I definitely would probably make those packed on the second examination. And then after that, okay, Infestation Pit goes down pretty shortly thereafter, and that last gas. I'm looking around, I'm glancing, I'm examining. Are there any extra hatches that get thrown down? I don't see anything down here. Oh, yes I do. I see something down there. And much later down the line, we build a hatchery. I don't actually know if Violet wins this game or not. This was in my unwatched replays. We're building, oh, cool. Is that a macro hatch? Cool, yeah. Yeah, hive. Great. Alright, guys, let's just take some bets before we wrap up with our analysis. Who's going to win this game? Is it going to be Violet? Is it going to be MC? He builds the extractors. This is something I would not include with the build order. This is, oh, well, I guess I want gas, and the expansion just finished. So I'm going to get the geysers there. And it looks like the answer is going to be... Oh, that's looking really scary. Oh, no! You're losing. Violet, you got smoked, boy. Alright, let's go ahead and pull it back. Alright, cool. Nice. Let's go ahead and examine what ends up occurring in this. Given time, I may have to skip this part. Watch previous daily flow instruction. Previous Tuesday. I don't know why I just wrote this. This is for, you can hear me talk. I wrote this down like you'll have access to this document. Like someone else will figure it out. Alright, cool. So now let's just go ahead and write down the simple groups of things. And again, notice still how you get a pretty clear picture. We take 3 bases, and then we're going to slowly start getting more and more. We're going to slowly start getting gas as we get some defense against early stuff and some upgrades. Then we're going to begin teching. We're trying to defend against any sort of air or ground threat as we tech up and get more gas. We're starting to get our upgrades. We'd really love to have our Spire up for some those Corruptors in case he begins going Colossus. Now we're really starting to rock out. We're also getting an Infestation Pit, so that way we can begin getting a Roach Infester army to really bolster everything we have. And then we're starting to expand a lot and get our Hive Tech up to get those Broodlords. Have a pretty clear path. Nice. Alright. We had our 3 queens and drones. 4 lings. Is that how many lings he ended up building? Yep, there it is. Alright, now we're going to look for this period of the 2 gas Roach Evo thing. It looks like we're just going all out drone out, man. There's our 3rd queenie popping out. Yep, drones. We're going drones, 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 drones. Drones. Drones and capital drones. Drones, drones. Hey, look at that speed. We get that speed pretty early. And we continue to sort of look around. Ooh, when does this queen get built? Spore Spine Layer. Looks like we end up getting a queen. Are we still droning? Drone. No, we're actually building some roaches here. This is very interesting to see. Queen plus roach plus ling. And then we get some drones. But this ends up happening a little bit beforehand. You can do notation however you want. You can do something like small drones. It can be like big drones. Get some big drones up here and some small drones there. The important thing is that you have a clear sense of, man, if I got some big droning in here and some big droning in here and some big droning in here, that's great. If I only got some small droning in there, that's also fine. Wow, a good amount of Zerglings were built during this period of time. 4 roach plus many lings, plus a small amount of drones, yeah. Continuing to get a little bit large. Alright, we have our Glial Reconstitution upgrade now that our layer is done. Where are we at? Evo Spire 2 gas. Yeah, this is around this time. Evo Spire 2 gas. We still haven't really made that many basic ground units. Still droning. Drones, drones, drones. Drones! Big drones! And it looks like now, only now do we actually start to make some lings. Only as we're at this Evo Spire gas do we start to really make some. We were under a little bit of an attack here from this ground force like that. We're just creating some pretty simple labels. Now, I think many people are noting that in the Terran Protoss portion of things, what we ended up doing is we were focused a lot on this and these sorts of rearrangements, and we had some really interesting timings going on in this period. Some really interesting timings happening. It's very easy. Well, let me see how I'll put this. It's easy at a time like this to say something like, Zerg is harder. I'm having a more difficult time with Zerg than with the other two races. However, that is an illusion. That is a huge illusion. Let me describe this illusion. When you get a larva, you should spend the larva. You should spend that larva. That is actually not a question. It has really never been a good idea to save up larva. And now, I understand the idea of, oh hey, my roach horn's about to finish. I'm going to let 1, and then 2, and then 3 larvae appear, so that way when my larva from the queen pops off, I have 7, and thus I can do a 7 roach rush. I even understand the idea of, my spire's almost done. I'm going to wait a little bit, and cool, there we go. There are a few of those, a few of them here and there. But even then, they still don't violate the basic idea of when you get a larva, holy shit, spend it. There's never a Zerg player who will say, look, we're at the 7-minute mark. You want to save up like 30 larvae, and then you want to see what he's up to, and only then should you decide what to do. Why is that terrible logic? Because if there was a window of a minute where you could have had those 30 larvae turned into 30 drones and started mining, that's a huge surge in income. That's huge. That's a gigantic amount of money. You should be spending those larvae. And in a sense, your only choice that has incredible impact is drone or unit. Drone or unit. That's the core choice that keeps coming back to you. The other races have some very odd timings in the early game where you kind of have to stutter and start and stop things. MMA's Terran vs. Zerg style. He gets a starport with a reactor, so that way he can get 2 medevacs out very quickly to do some drops, but for a lot of the time, he's not building medevacs. He'll need them, and he'll need to churn them out 2 at a time, but there's this always judgment period where it's, oh, should I build it, should I not, should I hold it off? A lot of Protoss players have to hold off on their gateway production. They have to wait, because the Protoss units build really quickly and are pretty expensive. And there's a lot of circumstances where you need to get 5 gates to stay alive versus a certain attack, and then you just hold off and wait, because the warp gate mechanic is a little different. Terran also has some weird stop and stuttering and starting, where they build 2 Hellions, or they build 4 Hellions, and then they wait, then they build 2 more, then they wait, then they build 2 more, and there's these sort of clever timings. They have a huge mess of issues that they also have to deal with. For Zergs, we will see it explicitly. We will see droning written out, and we will not see things like be careful about your idle gateway stuff written out. For Protoss, that's a little bit more of the tactical decision making. But just to emphasize, Zerg buddies, the instant you want to start going, oh, my race is the worst, it's so much harder. I honestly find of the 3 races, Zerg and Terran I find the easiest for me to deal with. Because with Terran, I just macro really hard, and with Zerg, I'm used to the drone unit dilemma. That's all that existed in Zerg for StarCraft 1. Protoss, I'm pretty terrible at. Pretty terrible. But as a result, they're probably my favorite to play. How paradoxical. What am I talking about? Ah, that's right. coming back here, we're just going to go ahead and do 5 and 6. Big drones make some lings. 5 was this infestation in the gas, which we see just getting started. Oh, cool. We have a small round of drones. Small drones. A little bit of droning going on, a little bit of droning. How are we doing? Yeah. We end up getting pathogen. Now, some of these upgrades I haven't written down yet. I've been fairly irresponsible about that. And it looks like... Are we 2 hatching and hiving yet? No, it looks like now is where small drones, and then we... Roaches! Infestors! Lings! This is when we start to really make those. And it's important, I think at this point, to see this overarching structure that... Oops, many roaches. That already we're starting to have big reveals, like in all these phases, there were virtually no roaches. It's so easy to get obsessed with, oh, Stefano, he can max out by the 12-minute mark. You see what Stefano did? This guy has had no roaches with this style. He has a spire up a lot earlier. Infestors are up at a pretty equivalent time. Corruptors coming down. Oh, do the Corruptors ever get used? Indeed, no, they don't. Corruptor. Some pretty interesting compositions coming down, yeah. Corruptor? In a very simple sense, you need to have lots of drones going on throughout your gameplay. And whenever you get attacked, like in a phase like this, you have to make sure that, again, you take a breather to start droning. I wrote make lings. I should have written many lings. Take a breather to start droning, and then you go back. Anytime you see some units here, these units have to have huge purpose. These are scouting. These are here to defend against that Stalker Zealot push. These are here to defend against the big Warp Gate push that just arrived. Did these do much? Did these do much? Did these do much? Did these do much? You have to begin asking those questions. Now, weirdly, this daily just blew past. I thought I was going to have so much more time to say so many more things. But instead, it's basically done, so I'll just take a couple of questions. Please ask me a lot about larvae and that sort of thing. God, that was the fastest daily of all time. Jeez. I've actually never quite felt a daily go so fast before. That was weird. Ugh. Oh, great question from Snoy. Snoy Arc, day 9. I'm currently a Diamond Zerg and use no builds. Do you recommend learning builds? I currently have simple timings and simple buildings and so on. I just sort of react. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. And in fact, you should use this style. And let me go ahead and just write down your homework. Homework for next week. I want you to play... homework for next week. Write down the simple structure and play 5 games. Single player. Then write down the intermediate structure for your build and play 5 more games. Hop onto the ladder and figure out your advanced setup, orderings, and attack timings. 5 games. Send me all 15 games to Tuesday at day9.tv. Yeah! That is what I want. I want you to do that. We'll go ahead and look at Nyx's games next week. But yeah, I would definitely recommend just taking a really good player, breaking his build down like this. I mean, look at Empire Violet. Incredible player. So good. And look how easy this looks. It's pretty easy. And I mean, I'm doing some goofiness when I'm writing drones, but I mean... Basically, we have heavy droning here. Small droning here. Whoa, what did my computer do? Small droning here. Small droning here. I mean, this is just so simple. And then down here, we didn't write any of the advanced stuff, but just down on the ladder. Yeah. And I think what you'll find is that it will click a lot harder when you're mimicking someone. Or with your own builds, you can start to write down, well, with my build, I've always done this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And then you might start asking yourself more questions. You might start saying something like, oh, this is where I get these 2 gas. That's way too late. I actually need to get those up here, or something like that. Nildawen says, Dana, great question. Says, Nildawen, I often find myself in mid to late game with lots of minerals and a lot of larvae. Should I just spend my larvae on lings when I'm low on gas? That's when I feel like I should save them, but should I not? There's 2 possibilities. One is that your money's high because your macro slipped. The other is that you're maxed, or something like that. If you're maxed, or like at 180 food, just go ahead and try to get better units out. It's not a great idea to try to get out 20 sets of Zerglings if you're at 180 food. It's better to try to get Corruptors and Broodlords out with that extra 20 food, so just try to focus on that. But if your money is low in-game, there's what you should do in this game and what you should do for next game. If you're in the game, just build whatever the hell is the most expensive to get your money down, because I want you to get in the habit of having your money down. Have the money as low as possible at all points in time. That's the big goal. So just do that. I don't care what you build the most expensive thing to keep your money down. The real thing you should fix is not in this game, it's next game. And what I want you to do is I want you to come back to this build thing, and I want you to go, okay, my money got high right here. I want you to try to identify at what point things are starting to go wrong. Because let's say this is what you're dealing with. My money got high right here. Well, is my queen inject good? Well, yeah. Well, you know what? If that's the case, I'm going to build another hatch earlier so I have something to spend my money on, so my money doesn't get too high. Again, you don't want to have the money and say, what do I do now? You want to never get a lot of money in the bank in the first place. Time to answer the last question. Again, I'm going to take this last question from Jay Gonzalez, who I still owe some buddy hangout time. What happens if the Protoss attacks you during a big phase of droning and you're not ready for it? The funny truth of it is, with almost all Zerg build setups like this, like this, you are droning hugely early on. You actually don't really need that many units against Protoss early on. As long as you're spotting probes that are trying to build proxy pylons, you're in good shape. You just have to largely worry about air early. But again, the big lesson to take away today is that if for some reason you're under attack early on, like at a period like this, you just build no drones, and you say that droning phase, I'm going to take a breather to start droning, and whatever my next phase is, phase 3, that's when I'm going to do the big drones. And the phase after that, I'm going to try to do the big drones. Because again, don't think of it as this is a droning phase, period. Doesn't work like that. You drone around your enemy. You don't drone now, because that's what my build is. You're trying to get 4 total drone phases in a game. Maybe one in parts 1, 3, 4, and 5. Maybe in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Maybe in parts 1, 2, 3, and then you don't do it again until phase 6. Maybe that's the case, but you want to have you don't want to think of it as one big broad droning phase. You think of it as one droning phase that's small, another droning phase that's small, another droning phase that's small, another droning phase that's small. Your opponent's never going to hit you during the big broad grandiose droning phase. He's going to hit you in one of those small ones. So you just stop there, build some stuff, and do some other shit. I'm done. Woo! Whew, that was a long daily. How the hell did that go so long? Ugh, what the hell? I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. But that's okay. The song is good.